On October 1st, 2019, China rolled a strange aircraft through the streets of Beijing. Not a drone, not a missile, something the world hadn't seen before, and something it clearly didn't understand. Western analysts looked at it and reached a conclusion. Parade prop, symbol of ambition, prototype that might matter someday, if it ever got off the ground. They published their assessments, briefed their governments, and moved on. They were wrong. And that mistake had a cost measured in years. Because while the debate was happening, while analysts argued about rivet patterns and airspace mock-ups, China was quietly solving the hardest problem in modern warfare. Not a faster weapon, a faster way to find the target. In any naval battle in the Western Pacific, the weapons already exist. The missiles are ready. The ranges are sufficient. What determines whether those missiles hit or miss isn't the warhead. It's whether anyone knows exactly where the target is at the moment of launch. That gap, between knowing and not knowing, is what this drone was built to close. China has already deployed it. The Pentagon found out, and what the classified assessment revealed is still reshaping how every military planner in the Pacific thinks about carrier vulnerability. When the WZ-8 appeared in 2019, the design was hiding in plain sight. No wide wings, no endurance engines, no loiter capability, just a narrow fuselage, short swept fins, and a nose shaped for a single purpose. Speed. Violent, uncompromising speed. Every design element pointed the same direction. This aircraft was never built to circle an area for hours. It was built to cross a target zone in minutes and exit before anyone could react. But analysts focused on what wasn't there. Unfinished surface components at the 2021 Zhuhai Air Show. Rivet patterns inconsistent with operational hardware. The consensus formed quickly. Mock-up. Demonstrator. Not yet real. Not yet. That phrase did a lot of work. It created a comfortable margin. Time to watch. Time to assess. Time to respond. If and when this thing ever became operational. That margin was already gone. The fuselage wasn't unfinished. It was built to survive aerodynamic heating so intense it can structurally compromise titanium. Friction generated by sustained hypersonic flight. The small wings weren't incomplete. They were engineered for one flight regime. Extreme altitude, extreme velocity, zero interest in flying slowly. The analysts had the evidence. They read it backwards. The Cold War had proven the logic. SR-71 Blackbird, Lockheed D-21, both built on the same principle. Fly fast enough and high enough that interception becomes a physics problem with no solution. Both were retired because satellites, the thinking went, had made them obsolete. That assumption is why this drone exists. Because there is one thing satellites cannot do. And China built an entire platform around exploiting it. Start with what makes this aircraft strange. The WZ-8 cannot take off. No runway, no landing gear, no independent launch. By conventional standards, it's not really an aircraft at all. It's carried aloft beneath the wing of an H-6 bomber. The bomber climbs, positions, releases, and only then, at altitude, already moving fast, do the WZ-8's rocket engines ignite. The bomber never crosses into contested airspace. It doesn't need to. It delivers the blade to the edge of the threat zone. The blade does the rest. That architecture reveals the doctrine. Every WZ-8 mission requires a coordinated flight plan, a bomber crew, a deliberate release sequence. This is not a routine patrol. This is a pre-strike operation. Before a single missile fires, the drone has already gone in. The sequence is the kill chain, and we're not at the end of it yet. The United States tried almost this exact concept in the 1960s. The Lockheed D-21, launched from a modified A-12, designed to overfly Soviet territory and photograph what satellites couldn't reach in time. The program failed. Accidents, reliability problems, quietly canceled. China watched, studied the failures, waited for materials and sensors to catch up, then built one that works. No pilot to lose, no recovery mission if it goes down, just data, transmitted back before anyone had time to respond. What that data makes possible is what changes everything. US intelligence puts the WZ-8 at roughly Mach 3. Some Chinese sources suggest Mach 6 at extreme altitude. The exact number is almost beside the point. At Mach 3, the drone covers 300 kilometers in 6 minutes. At altitudes near 100,000 feet, above the effective ceiling of most surface-to-air systems, there is no realistic intercept solution from below. Fighters scrambled the moment it's detected, couldn't climb high enough or fast enough to reach it before it exits. 6 minutes. Gone. The window opens and closes before most systems finish reacting. But speed is not the danger. Speed is what makes the danger impossible to stop. The sensors are what matter. Electro-optical imaging sharp enough to identify ship class and formation. Synthetic aperture radar that cuts through cloud cover, darkness, and active electronic jamming. No weather grounds it. No night blinds it. No jamming shuts it out. Put those sensors on a platform crossing 300 kilometers in 6 minutes. And a question that once required hours of satellite coverage and educated guesswork gets answered in a single pass. The question every commander needs answered before launching anything. Where's the carrier? Right now. Not 6 hours ago. Not the last satellite pass. Now. At the exact moment the missile is ready to leave the launcher. That answer is worth more than any single weapon in China's arsenal. Without it, the weapons are ready. And completely blind. For 4 years after the Beijing parade, the WZ-8 existed in a comfortable gray zone. Visible, photographed, endlessly debated, never confirmed as something real, something deployed, something that could be used tomorrow. That comfort ended in 2023, not through a classified briefing, through a leak. Jack Teixeira, an National Guardsman, posted classified U.S. defense documents to Discord. Among them, a National Geospatial Intelligence Agency assessment referencing satellite imagery from August 9, 2022. Location, a military airfield near Luan, Anhui Province. 2 aircraft, WZ-8 profile. 1 inside a hardened shelter, 1 moving across the tarmac. Hardened shelters are not built for prototypes. They are built for assets you intend to use and intend to protect from the first strike of a war. The assessment's conclusion: first operational supersonic drone unit almost certainly active. Not developing, not testing, operational. Then the location became the second blow. Anhui Province falls under the PLA Eastern Theater Command, responsible for Taiwan, for the East China Sea, for every flashpoint most likely to trigger a Pacific conflict. This was not a remote test range. This was a frontline unit. Staged, ready, already in position for the conflict that hasn't started yet. 4 years of reassuring ambiguity, erased by satellite imagery and a classification stamp that should never have left a secure facility. The capability was operational before anyone outside China knew to look for it. The question had shifted entirely. Not, is this real? But, what has China been finding, and for how long? Here is the problem that has defined missile targeting for 50 years. Targets move. Carrier strike groups change course and speed continuously. Not randomly, but deliberately. It's a doctrine built to defeat fixed targeting solutions. A confirmed position from 60 minutes ago can be strategically worthless. Stale data doesn't miss the target. It burns the strike. And in a limited salvo conflict, burned strikes don't come back. Satellites are the backbone of modern military intelligence. But they have one flaw that cannot be engineered away. Their orbits are predictable. Everyone knows when they pass. A fleet commander who knows a satellite crosses at 0730, maneuvers at 0715, and resumes course at 0745. The satellite captures clean, misleading imagery. The targeting solution built from it is worthless. The ocean didn't protect U.S. carriers. The satellite schedule did. Anti-satellite weapons take this further. One successful strike on a reconnaissance satellite doesn't just degrade coverage. It creates a gap that could last days. And in a conflict that begins inside that gap, every targeting decision that follows is built on guesswork. The WZ-8 doesn't supplement satellite intelligence. It replaces it at the exact moment satellite intelligence fails. Launch. Mach 3 to the target area. SAR cuts through jamming and weather. Position confirmed. Drone exits. The gap closes. The window fleet commanders used to hide inside. Gone. The coordinates are current. The timing is precise. And now the missiles have exactly what they've always needed. China has spent 2 decades building weapons designed to sink American carriers. The DF-21D. Range, 1,500 kilometers. The DF-26. Range, 4,000 kilometers, deep into the Central Pacific. Both carry maneuvering warheads built to defeat terminal defense systems. And for 2 decades, both had the same problem. A carrier doesn't hold still. At 30 knots, a strike group shifts position by 18 kilometers every 36 minutes. A missile's flight time is not 0. Every minute in the air is more distance between where the carrier was and where it is. A missile launched at the last known position is not a missile that hits the carrier. That gap, between last known and actual position at impact, is what has protected U.S. carriers far more than any Aegis system ever did. The WZ-8 was built for one purpose: close that gap. Fly to the estimated position at Mach 3. Synthetic aperture radar finds the formation through weather and jamming. Electro-optical sensors confirm hull type, count escorts, red heading, and speed. Coordinates transmitted. Drone exits before the carrier air wing can intercept. The missile fires. The carrier is exactly where the drone said it would be. This is what the DF-21D was always designed to do. What it could never reliably do without a targeting solution current enough to matter. Without the WZ-8, formidable arsenal, blind targeting, manageable threat. With it, every U.S. carrier within 4,000 kilometers is a confirmed, trackable, targetable asset. Find, track, target, strike. The kill chain is complete, and it's already deployed. Not pointed at a scenario, pointed at the Taiwan Strait. The Pentagon isn't alarmed by the drone. It's alarmed by what the drone finishes. Look at the timeline without the comfortable framing. 2019, strange aircraft. Dismissed. 2021, airshow appearance. Unfinished surfaces. Still dismissed. 2022, satellite imagery. 2 A-frames inside hardened shelters at a frontline base under the Eastern Theater Command. 2023, classified assessment. First operational unit. Almost certainly active. No announcement. No public statement. No warning. The capability went operational while the world was still debating whether the aircraft was real. This is the part that matters most. Not what the drone is, but when it became real. Because every assumption that kept carriers safe in the Western Pacific rested on one foundation. Finding a moving fleet in real time, faster than the satellite schedule allows, is too hard. No adversary had solved it reliably enough to build a strike doctrine around it. That assumption is now operationally invalid. The WZ-8 doesn't make the carrier indefensible, but it removes the protection the ocean itself provided. It collapses the targeting timeline, hours of satellite gaps compressed into a 6-minute drone pass. Faster than a satellite window, faster than a fleet can maneuver clay, faster than the decision cycle to respond. The unknowns remain. Exact propulsion, confirmed maximum speed, total units deployed, none of it publicly confirmed, but the deployment is documented. The kill chain is operational. The target is named. China built a drone that solves the one problem its missiles couldn't. Positioned it at the command responsible for Taiwan. Did it without a word. In modern warfare, time is the only resource that cannot be recovered. The WZ-8 is a machine for taking it.